Hi guys, it is me, ChazzaHD, and welcome to this Practice 1 and Practice 2 review for the 2018 German Grand Prix. And let's just go straight into the results. So this is Practice 1. So Ricciardo was fastest from Hamilton 2nd, Verstappen 3rd, Vettel 4th, Bottas 5th, Raikkonen in 6th. Then you have the two Haas's of Grosjean and Magnussen, Leclerc in 9th and Hockenheim in 10th. Sorry if I sound out of breath, but it is so hot where I am currently in the world. And then you have Perez, Alonso, Stroll, Sainz, Hartley, Sorokin, Latifi. As we know, he's a Friday driver for Force India. And then you have Pierre Gasly in 18th, Giovinazzi 19th with Stoffel Van Dorn last of all. And then in Practice 2, Max Verstappen was fastest from Hamilton 2nd, Bottas 3rd, Vettel was 4th with Raikkonen in 5th, then the two Haas's of Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen. Leclerc was in 8th, Hülkenberg 9th, and Esteban Ocon in 10th. And I've just realised that I put Ocon in a Haas. I am sorry about that. I was in a bit of a rush, I'll admit, trying to get this stream prepared. So sorry that I've put him in a Haas, but I think you can understand that error. And then it was Perez again in 11th place with Sainz in 12th. Ricciardo was 13th. We will get on to why he was in 13th in a moment. Ericsson 14th, Gasly 15th, Hartley 16th, Alonso 17th, Stroll in 18th, Sorokin 19th, and Stoffel Van Dorn again last of all. That is just not good enough. And before I get into all the teams and how they did, I just need to remind you guys of a couple of things. One, don't forget to subscribe before I go on with this stream if you are interested in the content that I am providing as well. Don't forget to join the ChazzaHD F1 community over on Discord. The link to that is in the description. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that also is in the description. So now, let's go on to Mercedes, who had an okay day today. I don't think the pace was bad, but I don't think it was great. I think once Ferrari turned it up in qualifying, I don't think Mercedes will be ahead of Ferrari. I just don't think they will. But yeah, 50-50 day, I'd say, for Mercedes. I mean, obviously, they've had the news of Lewis Hamilton signing a new contract until the end of 2020 and Valtteri Bottas signing a new contract until the end of 2019. So today was kind of a quiet day because of that news. And I don't think, yeah, it just wasn't that great of a day for Mercedes in general. The pace wasn't amazing from them. But in qualifying, they're definitely going to be, I think, better. But I don't think I still do not think they'll be the fastest. I just don't think they will. Moving on to Ferrari, I still think they have the fastest car. Yes, they did not finish top of one of the sessions, but considering that Ferrari normally sandbag on Fridays, this was a very good day because I think on Practice 1, they were 2/10 off Daniel Ricciardo with Vettel on soft tyres compared to the ultra soft. So that's very, very good. And then in Practice 2, the pace again on probably more fuel and lower, power settings was very good. That's all I can really say about that. The only concern from Ferrari's point of view is that the race pace wasn't bad, but the tyre wear was a bit concerning. Let's just say that. I don't know if that'll be an issue in the race because I think in the race it's going to be a lot cooler in terms of temperature than it has been today. So it might not be an issue once we get to Sunday, but it's definitely something that Ferrari, have to be thinking about and have to try and solve so they don't have that kind of issue when it comes to Sunday's Grand Prix. Next up is Red Bull, and I have to say with Red Bull, I did not think they would be so fast today. I thought they wouldn't be miles off, but I thought they would be, say, during the practice sessions, second fastest, but then once qualifying comes around, they'd be on the third row. But in practice today, they clearly had the best car. I don't think we can doubt that. In terms of aerodynamic grip, of course. In terms of when everyone turns their engines up to max, I still think that Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari is the fastest car. But in terms of aerodynamic grip, that Red Bull does look very good. The only issue is they can only really do well this weekend with one car, because Daniel Ricciardo has a penalty, and quite a big one. I think it's 20 places. I think is the exact one. It might be 25, but you know, there's only 20 places on the grid, so it doesn't really matter. He has a penalty for changing his MGUK energy store and control electronics. I believe those are the three which he's changed, which has got him the penalty. So that is a shame, but it's understandable because, you know, you have the Hungarian Grand Prix coming up next weekend. Red Bull have to maximise their performance there, because in Hungary, they are going to most likely dominate, because that car at that track is supreme compared to a track like this. So it's an understandable decision. Maybe they could have done it for Silverstone, but you know, they've done it here and there's nothing really much to say about it. Ricciardo will be starting at the back, and I think in the race will probably finish, I don't know, 5th or 6th. It really depends on safety cars or, you know, anything dramatic happening, or if rain happens, for example, then maybe he can finish higher than a 5th. But in the race, it'll probably be a 5th or a 6th. So moving on from Red Bull Racing, on to a team that I have to say today, so poor, McLaren. In the first practice session with Fernando Alonso, they were about where I expected them, in 12th place. But Stoffel van Dorn was bottom of both practice 1 and practice 2. That is poor. And then with Alonso 17th in practice 2, I think that is clear evidence that the McLaren this weekend is the second the second slowest at this track. I don't think we can doubt that. They were, I'd say with Alonso, they were comfortably quicker than the Williams. Obviously Van Dorn wasn't, but I think they are comfortably clear of the Williams, but I don't think they can beat teams like Toro Rosso, Sauber. Their car is just so poor, and I don't understand how McLaren think they're making improvements. I just do not get it. That car is still awful. It's still awful, but for some reason McLaren think they're making progress. Well, let them think that, because I can tell you now they're not. That car is absolutely just terrible in every area. Terrible, terrible, terrible racing car. And when it comes to tomorrow, the best I see is maybe them sneaking into Q2. That's about it. I'm sorry, that's the best I can see for McLaren. But moving on from them on to Renault, who didn't have a great day, but I do think they went slightly under the radar, especially with Nico Hülkenberg, who I thought throughout the day was nice and consistent, you know, in and around that 9th, 10th, 11th place area. So good by him. But Carlos Sainz has just struggled all day, pretty much. So, you know, a contrast there between those two drivers. It's not really a surprise, because this is Hülkenberg's home race, so you would expect Hülkenberg to be a lot faster because he's more motivated and he knows the track better. But yeah, I do think Sainz does have to improve his pace, especially compared to his teammate Nico Hülkenberg. And going into qualifying, I think Renault can sneak a car into the top 10, probably with Hülkenberg. But I wouldn't be surprised if both cars were knocked out in Q2. I would not be surprised, because in terms of the engine power, they are severely down when it comes to Haas, Sauber, and of course Force India. So don't be surprised if Renault are lining up, I don't know, 11th or 13th for the race. That is definitely a realistic position for them to be lining up in with the engine they have and the car they have around this type of track. So looking at best, say a 10th place, I'd say with Nico Hülkenberg. But moving on from them, on to Force India, who, kind of like Renault, they're not really looking that great. They're in and around the top 10. They're certainly with Sergio Perez, they're on the fringes, but obviously with Ocon in practice too, they were just inside. Again, they're in and around that area, but I don't know why, I just don't see them in qualifying being able to get inside the top 10. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed this recently, but Force India in qualifying, they always tend to disappoint, but then in the race, they actually produce the performance we were expecting. So, if you're expecting Force India to be in the top 10, then expect it for the race, not for qualifying, because when it comes to expectations, Force India tend to fail to deliver in qualifying, and then in the race, they pull it back. So, I think tomorrow, maybe, I don't know, Ocon could sneak in there into the top 10 and Perez get knocked out. I don't know. It's very close in that midfield battle for sure, but I just don't see Force India having that great of a qualifying. I just don't see it because the grip of that car at the moment really is not good. It really just isn't. Moving on to Williams. There's nothing to say. Moving on, Toro Rosso, not really that great, I would say, from Toro Rosso. 15th and 16th, I believe, in practice 2. Kind of expected. I was expecting them to be dead slow because around a track like this, that car just isn't good. And especially with the power unit that they have, they're not going to do well. So it's not a surprise to me. But yeah, it's kind of looking again like a quiet and quite irrelevant race weekend in terms of pace and actually challenging for points. So yeah, nothing really much to say about Toro Rosso, just no real raw pace there from that team. Moving on to Haas, and clearly once again Haas are best of the rest. It is clear to see that their car is the best of the midfield, and if they just delivered on the pace when it comes to race day, then I think Haas would be running away in 4th place in the Constructors, but they just keep either the drivers crashing into each other, crashing into other people, wheel nuts, you know, all stuff like that has cost them so many points because with the pace of this car, they deserve to be 4th in the Constructors. That car is so fast. And I just don't get how they're, I think it's 20 or 19 points they're behind Renault. I just don't get how they're that far off when their car, let's be honest, this season has been faster than the Renault, especially since the French Grand Prix. So they have to, tomorrow and Sunday, they have to deliver a 7th and an 8th place finish if, of course, the top 3 teams all finish, because even though Daniel Ricciardo is starting at the back, he will still get past the Haas cars if they're in 6th and 7th. There's no doubt about it. The Red Bull is miles faster than the Haas. So a 7th and an 8th has to be the aim in qualifying and the race. And if they don't get that, then that's another blown weekend. And I really hope they do perform to standard, because that car is so quick and they just need to consistently deliver on it. So please, Haas, do it, because you really need to. That car is so fast. Moving on from them, on to Sauber. Charles Leclerc, once again, doing so well. He was in the top 10 in both practice 1 and practice 2. And if you need any more evidence that he is ready to go into a Ferrari, then here you are. I mean, look where his teammate was, Marcus Ericsson. I think Ericsson was 14th and 15th in both practice 1 and practice 2, or around that area at least. And Leclerc is right in the top 10. He is just such a good driver, and for me is clearly ready to be in a Ferrari. I have no doubt about it anymore. He is that good, and I would be so surprised if he was still at Sauber next year. I'd be so surprised, because he is so good. And I know I sound like a Leclerc fanboy, but what is there not to dislike about him? He's so fast. He's a very likeable person and a very nice person. He's just great all round. So, yeah, just brilliant there from Charles Leclerc. And yeah, that is pretty much it for practice. Now I'm going to answer some of your questions for about, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to do a bit of a Q&A here, see what you guys think of some of the teams, and also see what some of you guys, your predictions are for qualifying. So let's see what you guys are saying. Haas are the third best team. I don't think they are. I think it's clear to see that. But if retirements with the top three teams happen, there's no reason why they couldn't get a fourth and a fifth like they did in Austria. They could definitely get that. That car is clearly faster than the other midfield cars. Leclerc is really good for a rookie. He does remind me in terms of his rookie year to Max Verstappen. Verstappen in his rookie year was so good and constantly putting in great performances, great overtakes, and would keep impressing to the point where Red Bull just had to put him in the car. And I think that is the same thing that is going on here with Leclerc. He's impressing so much, pulling off great overtakes. He continues to impress to the point where you're thinking, just what can this kid do? And it's going to get to a point where Ferrari will have to put him in the car. So they have to do it. They just have to do it. Raikkonen for another season. I will say, if Raikkonen is still at Ferrari for 2019, I'm not going to say, oh, Kimi doesn't deserve it, because Kimi this year has definitely been better than he was in 2017, 2016, 2015 and 2014. I think this has been Kimi's second or third best year he's ever had at Ferrari. His first or his best year at Ferrari, of course, was 2007. Then I'd say probably his second best year, 2008. And then I'd say this is his third best year at Ferrari. So if they keep him, I can't really argue against them keeping him, because he hasn't been, most of the time, that bad. He's actually done very well. But I just think with the talent that Leclerc has, just put him in the car. He's so quick and so good. Let me just see what you guys are saying. Stroll to Force India and Perez to Haas. I have seen these rumours. I'm just going to go through them now. I do not think Stroll is going to Force India. I wouldn't be surprised if Stroll went to Force India, but I don't think he is. The reason he's being linked to Force India is because Force India is struggling for cash. That is the only reason. And I'm not trying to disrespect Lance Stroll there, but you guys know. The only reason Force India are considering Lance Stroll is because of the cash that he and his dad brings. So it wouldn't be a surprise if Force India selected him, but I don't think that is going to happen. And Perez to Haas, that all depends really on what Romain Grosjean, or what happens to Romain Grosjean. If Grosjean gets dropped, then yeah, I could see that definitely. But I don't know, I just think Perez is going to stay at Force India because he has such a great relationship with that team, and also the money that he provides for Force India is still vital to that team. So I don't understand why Force India would be looking to drop him, because he does bring in a lot of money, and if you compare him to Stroll, well, there is no, you can't compare them. Perez is clearly faster than Stroll. So I I just don't see Perez going to Force India. And then also another one that I've heard is Ocon to Renault. I do not believe this for a moment, and I know a lot of people are going on about this rumour, but I just don't believe it's going to happen because Renault have two quick drivers already at the team who have both done well this season. So why would they drop one of them? And I know that Renault have concerns about Sainz in terms of his Red Bull contracts and stuff like that, but if Ricciardo signs up again with Red Bull for another 2 years, which he's going to, it's going to be announced within the next week or so, then why would they drop Hülkenberg or Sainz when they've done absolutely fine and are very fast? And arguably at times you could say that they are better than Ocon. Why would you drop one of them for Ocon? Yes, Ocon is a very good driver, and I do think he has gone severely under the radar this year. But I just think with Renault, it's better the devils you know than the devil you don't. So why not just keep the same lineup? I don't get it. I really do not get it. Was giving Bottas a 1 year deal enough? I agree with giving him a 1 year deal. The reason they're doing that is so every race and every year he has to be at his absolute max in terms of his performance. Because if he's not, then he knows that Mercedes will drop him and go and get another driver, because there are plenty of drivers out there that would replace Bottas. Some of them are already under contract at Mercedes. You know, Ocon, Verline, George Russell, who's currently the leader of the F2 Championship. He knows that with a 1 year deal, he has to be at his absolute best. And that's why this year he has performed so well, because he knew if he did not perform, he was gone. And this year, despite the bad luck, he has performed and deserves his new contract. So well done to Bottas for being good enough to get the contract, because he clearly deserves it. I know you want Kimi out and Leclerc in. Yeah, that's what I would want if I was the team boss of Ferrari. That's what I would go for. Kimi's not done a bad job. It's just Leclerc is doing so well in the Sauber and is a young superstar. Put him in the car. I don't see why you wouldn't. I don't get it. What are your qualifying predictions if it rains tomorrow? If it rains, then I think Max Verstappen will definitely get pole. And then it'll be, say, Hamilton or Vettel second, and then, I don't know, Bottas third or someone like that. But we don't know if it's going to rain tomorrow. And when it comes to my qualifying predictions, just need to let you guys know of this. I am doing, obviously, a qualifying watch-along tomorrow, which starts half an hour before qualifying starts and then goes until qualifying ends. I will do my qualifying predictions during that 30-minute build-up. So if you want to know my predictions for qualifying, tune in then. And also, it's better to do it then because we know the weather conditions and we've seen practice 3 in case any big drama happens. So yeah, my qualifying predictions will be done in the half an hour build-up to qualifying for the qualifying watch-along tomorrow, which I have to say I cannot wait to do with you guys. I am really, really excited to do it because it's just so great to, you know, watch qualifying, but also describe, kind of commentate, I guess you'd say, what is going on, and also interact with you guys whilst watching qualifying, because I've never had that pleasure before, so I cannot wait to do that. Will Kimi win a race? It's difficult. He's had, like in Austria, he was close. I don't think he will, sadly. I don't think he will. I really want him to. I'm so desperate for him to win a race, and it would be great for the sport of F1 if he did, but I don't know, I just don't see him getting a win. I think too much needs to go in his favour for him to win a race. I think that's the thing that is holding Kimi back, is he needs a lot of kind of luck, like in Austria, to get into second and be able to challenge for victory with the two Mercedes retiring and Daniel Ricciardo. I just think there's too much that needs to happen for Kimi to win a race. So, no, I don't think he will. Will Perez be good in the rain because he is good in the rain? I don't think he will because he's decent in the rain. I wouldn't say he's particularly great or good. I've never really noticed his talent in the wet conditions. But I think it more comes down to the car with a driver like Perez, and I don't think he would do well in qualifying tomorrow if it rains, because I don't think the Force India car in the rain is good. I don't think it is. I think Hamilton will win. Definitely a possibility of that, of course, but I just think it's Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel to lose. With Haas doing very well again, at what position do you think Roman will be when he hits the wall? Probably 6th or 7th. That's the thing with Roman. He can be so good, so quick, and then one moment of madness and he's in the wall and it's all over. That is the one thing I really don't like about him. And I really like him as a racing driver. I think he, a lot of the time, gets unfairly criticised. Of course, I have criticised him this year, especially in my old channel. But I just think these moments of madness that he has, it's just so baffling to me and so annoying, because I know that on his day, he can be so good and right up there with the best drivers, because he is such a quick racing driver, but he's just too inconsistent. Is it going to rain? There is rumours that it is going to rain, and there is definitely tomorrow and Sunday rain in the air, but I don't know if it's going to rain at the circuit. It's basically just a case of wait and see. We don't know. I think Kimi would have won because Verstappen touched him when Max overtook him. If Kimi had stayed ahead, then Kimi would have won that race. There's no doubt about it. But, you know, Max got past him, pulled away, and deserved to finish ahead of Kimi. And I don't think Verstappen touching Kimi's rear wheel was anything bad. It was just close racing, in my opinion. Do you think the rain will help Leclerc? I cannot wait for the rain. I cannot wait for Leclerc to drive in the rain, because I think people will be very surprised by him in wet conditions, and he might produce a miracle in that Sauber. So if it does rain, you do need to watch out for Charles Leclerc. If Verstappen gets pole, it's another record, right? I think it is. I don't think Verstappen's ever had pole position. No, I don't think he has. So I don't know if he'd be the youngest. I don't think he would be. I don't think he would be the youngest pole sitter of all time, because I think Sebastian Vettel is the youngest pole sitter. So I don't think that would be a record, because Verstappen is 20 and Vettel, I believe, at Monza in 2008, 10 years ago, I believe Vettel was 19. May be wrong on that, though. No doubt, but it would be a challenge to get pole. Everyone, it will rain. I really do hope it rains, because we will see so many cars, you know, battling it out for positions where those certain drivers or cars wouldn't be battling for those positions before. So it would be great to see rain, but I don't know, just with this season, we seem to have always a chance of rain, but it never happens, or it'll happen after the race like it did in France. So I just don't think it will rain for some reason. I don't think it will. But I really do hope it rains, because if it does, we're in for one hell of a show. But anyway, guys, that has been it for this review of Practice 1 and Practice 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, hit the like button, and also don't forget to comment down below and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to join our community over on Discord, then the link to that is in the description for the Chazza HD F1 Discord community. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to my Twitter is in the description. Go give me a follow there to keep up with, you know, when I'm uploading, and just what is going on with the channel. And just to remind you guys, there you go. Tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. British Summer Time or UK time, however you want to say it, I will be doing a qualifying watch along. It will start half an hour before qualifying starts, which is 1:30 p.m. UK time, and then it will end just after qualifying ends. So I don't know, 3 o'clock, 3:05 UK time, something like that. And then later that evening at probably 8, maybe even 9 o'clock that evening, I will be uploading a recorded full review of qualifying. That is what is going to be happening tomorrow, so hopefully you guys can join me on that. But anyway guys, that has been it for this stream. That's been me, Chazza HD, and I will see you guys tomorrow.